Well, a fine good afternoon all. This is Patricia, and I'm traveling for history. I am at the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum today, and this is the Beyond the Curve exhibit. It's in the schoolhouse, the old schoolhouse from Penton, Vermont, located near the store. All right, so Beyond the Curve, what is this? This is the American Abenaki COVID experience. I read this to you because I know that it's kind of small on screen there. In March 2020, the world stood still as businesses and schools around the world closed in response to the global pandemic. Broadcast media, health and government officials repeated the daily mantra, quote-unquote, flatten the curve. Resources became scarce, exposing health disparities and access issues that Native American families face across North America. Here in Dakota, our homeland, Abenaki families turned to traditional medicines and other cultural practices for comfort and survival, connecting with nature and small family groups. Throughout the dark times that followed, Abenaki and other Native American artists, musicians, and community members expressed the impact of the pandemic on ourselves and our community through storytelling, visual arts, and writing. Our stories of personal experience and perceptions about the disparities, access issues, and historical traumas that contribute to vaccine hesitation are also stories of recovery, survival, and resilience. The stories and artwork in this exhibit were gathered by the Vermont Abenaki Artists Association through the Abenaki Storytelling Project to create an auto history of the Native American community in Vermont and the surrounding environs. Many of the storytellers, artists, and community members who contributed to this body of work found that sharing helped them process their grief. This exhibition goes beyond differences to speak of experiences that are universal. Together, we move beyond the curve. This was written apparently by Wellosey, which means be very well, from the Vermont Abenaki Artists Association. Well, it's a museum, so let's take a look at the exhibits. So here, there's this chart in the back. I'm not sure I can zoom in enough so you can actually look at it yourselves. So let me tell you what it says. Vermonters aged 5+ who identify with 2 or more races have the highest rate of up-to-date COVID-19 vaccinations, whereas Vermonters who identify as Native Americans, Indigenous, or First Nation have the lowest up-to-date vaccination rates. A higher proportion of Hispanic Vermonters are up to date than non-Hispanic Vermonters. And then there's that chart there. So starting from the left and moving to the right, white, 36%, Black or African American, 30%, Asian, 39%, 2 or more races, 45%, Native American, Indigenous, or First Nation, 8%, and Pacific Islander is 11%, and then over here, also moving left to right, Hispanic, 54%, and not Hispanic, 35%. And the data sources they were using are the Vermont Immunization Registry, the IMR, and Vermont Department of Health Population Estimates from 2019. Let's continue moving right. This exhibit was curated by the Vermont Abenaki Artists Association. And the artwork that we see here is courtesy of Jean Morningstar Kent. Abenakis have lived in our homeland since Glus Kape fired his arrow into the ash tree, and out of that tree sprang Alnabak, human beings. Over millennia, we have developed scientific and technological innovations, art, and a spiritual system that helped us survive and thrive from the Ice Age to the present day. Despite our complex history of colonization, significant loss of cultural knowledge keepers due to colonial wars, disease, stolen lands, and forced sterilization, we continue to be strong and resilient people. We retain our cultural traditions, and our artists continue to make art inspired by our history and traditions. We are your friends, neighbors, colleagues, and classmates. We've been in this region more than 12,000 years. We are still here. Oh, one note about the door. Don't know about you, but I'm used to pulling doors, outside doors, towards me. And that's not the case with this at all. You got to push in. It has one of these latches. So just remember to push the door in if you're going to come visit. Oh, by the way, this museum will close on October 15 for this season. We have the beautiful basket up there and some sort of artwork. This amazing canoe. Can I back up far enough for it? Yeah. We'll continue moving around to the right. This piece of art here is by Charlie A. It says Womb Cave 2023, wood and enamel paint. It is courtesy of the artist. Let's see. Face mask. And it appears this is the artist. Rhonda Besaw, grandmother, Doris bandolier bag, 2018. Velvet, glass beads, embroidery thread, courtesy of artist. So I'll back up in just a moment so you can see them better, but it says, so the artist is Julia Marden, Wampum Story Belt Series, Architects of Genocide, 2020. Doctrine of Discovery, the Indian Removal Act, Kill the Indian, Save the Man. Glass wampum beads, brain tan deer hide, and synthetic sinew, courtesy of the artist. Aren't they amazing? Wow. And it's one of the few I could actually get close enough to photograph for you. Down here, Shaga, traditional medicine, courtesy of Rhonda Besaw. Sorry about the glare. And I don't know why the camera's doing that. It's not hot in here or cold in here. This is by Francine Quatras Jones. Through the Glass is the name. From 2023, acrylic on canvas, courtesy of artist. You can see some of these photos on Facebook or Instagram at Traveling for History. Beautiful piece of pottery. Jean Morningstar Kent. Gagawanagan, a hug, 2023. Gourd with etched in ink decoration, courtesy of the artist. Wow, isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. Wow. So these pictures here Wall of Honor, commemorating loved ones lost during the pandemic. Photographs 2022-2023. I'm sorry for your loss. So this here, they gored with ink. Trying to get my shadow out of there. May 1st, 2020. I listened as the news reported the shutdown of state borders, the closing of restaurants, hotels, and listed flights that were being canceled due to COVID. The state of Connecticut had basically shut down everything and set a 15-day isolation period for anyone entering the state. Later in the day, I received a frantic call from my sister in Maine. She was coughing and said, "I am dying." I wanted to say goodbye. She hung up before I could respond. I stood stunned, frustrated that I was so far away from her. That evening, I was pacing alone in my living room when I suddenly received a substantial hug, and I uttered, "Don't go." I knew it was my sister. She had passed. My gourd represents that moment. She was 6 years older than I, and I was always the quote-unquote tag-along. As the older sister, she was stuck with me most of the time. She acted as sister, babysitter, and mother, teaching me things that parents normally do. We were from different fathers, being raised by our mother in a wave of her untreated mental health outbursts. We had only each other. Sis's favorite color was blue, which has been worked into the design of the gourd. Our lives have beautiful moments woven into the pain of our daily situation. Thistle is both medicinal and beautiful, represents sharp, cutting leaves and makes viewing their beauty one of caution. The double curve offers balance, and the single leaf represents the new life I would be facing alone. The sunflower always faces the sun. It means hope. My sister was always hopeful, always dreaming. Sadly, many of her dreams failed to materialize, but it never stopped her from hoping. She gifted me my first set of paints, my first set of pastels, and my first radio. They were my elements of survival and continue to be my lifeline through bad times. I always pause when I see a patch of sunflowers. And think of the hope of it. Sorry about the interruption. That program started. I always pause when I see a patch of sunflowers and think of the hope they offer, but never losing sight of what gives them strength. In them, I find what gives me mine. Heartbreaking. I cannot shut off that program. So I'll just talk a little louder. So we see down here, it says, tobacco, thanking our mother for her medicine and snow, Wazoli, on which to travel and a beautiful day. And that's directly under this painting right here. All right, so this is COVID Mask Gallery. So these down here. Assemblage 2022-2023, crowdsourced photographs, scratch art, and face masks created by community members during the Abenaki COVID Storytelling Project from the Vermont Abenaki Artists Association. So you can see this one and this one, and the design is syringes. There you go, much better. This here, Gabriel Zen is the artist. A Moment Without Purpose, 2023. It's acrylic on flat canvas, courtesy of Artist. here we have Aaron York beaded stethoscope. I mean, look at that. Wow. That's probably the most beautiful stethoscope I've ever seen in my born days. So the beaded stethoscope is by Aaron York. It's a stethoscope with glass beads and thread. And then the personal protective equipment. Materials donated, PPE kits distributed to VAAA artists, 2017. Materials donated by businesses and manufacturers, supported in part by the Vermont Arts Council. Let's see how close I can get to get these. I think you can see them better even though they're glare still. And then the last piece of art is right here. I think it's a beautiful piece of art. And then it says, Francine Poitras Jones. It's titled C in 2023. The medium is acrylic on canvas, and it's courtesy of the artist. Well, this is Patricia and Trevor. Oh, no, sorry. Forgot the stuff in the center. So sorry. So we have Julia Martin here. Eastern Woodland Floral Plague Mask with Mouth Shield, 2022. Plastic mask, acrylic paint, painted Eastern Woodland floral design, quahog wampum, silver-toned metal beads and drops. Half mask, beaded screen or curtain for mouth, purple satin ribbon, beadwork on leather, courtesy of the artist. Again, my shadow. And this is also Julia Martin, called Stay Away. Glass beads, red and white, brain tanned hide strings, and ties synthetic sinew, courtesy of the artist again. As for this one here, this really reminds me of the ones that the Italian doctors wore during the plague in Europe. I think they believed they would not catch the plague because of this design. Fascinating. It's a beautiful design. It really reminds me of something you'd see at Mardi Gras or a masked ball. Now this, wow, I mean, look at the detail in that. Holy cow. This is by Jean Morningstar Kent, called Three Warriors in 2023. It's gored with etched and inked decoration. And let's do a walk around of this. There's another one. And the third one. And then this last one here. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And this is the artist down here. Artist is Paul Rene Tamburo. Turtle Island Bounty, silver and repoussé decoration. And over here, there is a sign that says, Sunrise Drum Silverwork by Dr. Paul Rene Tamburo. Abenaki Nohagan Kusuk Band, Vermont, recognized under the Indian Arts and Crafts Act of 1990. All of the unique hand-wrought pieces are marked. When you see this, it means Paul Rene Kitsatoga, which is Abenaki for Paul Rene, made this. This sunrise drum symbol is from his Abenaki name, Mojasadab Spiwi Pakulagan, which means began with a drum. His last name meaning drum, as in tambourine. And the name Abenaki, or Wabanaki, meaning people of the sunrise. Wow. So that's the last of this exhibit. This is Patricia. I'm traveling for history. Thanks so much for coming along with me, and until I see you again,